Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai.
Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada.
Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada.
जय श्री श्री राधा माधवाश्य सखी की जय, गौर निताय की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय. Mataji, is my volume okay?
Yes, it's perfect.
Okay. Narayanam namaskritya
Narayana Namaskritya
Naran chaiva narottamam
Naran Shaiva Narotamam
Devim saraswatim vyasam
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam
Tato jayamudirayed
Utoradamuriraye
Nashtaprayeshva bhadreshu
Astapradesha Vadreshu
Nityam bhagavata sevaya
Ityam Bhagavata Sevaya
Bhagavatyuttama shloke
Intamas Sasloke
Bhaktirbhavati naishtiki.
Bhakti Bhavati Nashtiki.
So we'll be talking about being under the protection today, and I chose one verse. I'll chant and please repeat, Mataji. Vyaktam tvam utkrishta gate prajapate
Vyaktam Tvam Utstrai Gate Prajapate
Priyatma janam asi subhrume mata
Priyatmajanam Ashibudru Me Mata
Tathapi manam napitu prapatsyase
Tatapi Manam Napitu Prapatsyase
Madashrayatka paritapyate yataha.
Madasrayatka Paritapyate Yata.
Can you chant, Mataji?
Yes, Mataji. Vyakam Tvamukstra Gate Prajapate
Vyaktam tvamatkrushta gate prajapate
Priyatmajam Ashibudru Me Mata
Priyatmajanam asi subhrume mata
Tatapi Manam Napitu Prapasyatse
Tathapi manam napitu prapatsyase
Madashrayatka Paritapyate Yata.
Madashrayatka paritapyate yata. Other devotees? Maharaj, would you please like to chant?
Yeah, okay. Yaktam Tvam Utkrishta Gate Prajapate
Vyaktam tvamutkrishta gate prajapate
Priyatmajanam Asi Subhru Me Mata
Priyatmajanam asi subhrume mata
Tatapi Manam Napitu Prapatsyase
Tathapi manam napitu prapatsyase
Mad Ashrayakah Paritapyate Yataha.
Madashrayatka paritapyate yataha. Any Prabhus, would you like to chant?
Vyaktam tvam ukrishta gate prajapate
Vyaktam tvamutkrishta gate prajapate
Priyat mayanam ashi subru me mata.
Priyatmajanamasi subhrume mata.
Tatapi manam napitu prapacyaye.
Tathapi manam napitu prapatsyase.
Mad asrayat ka paritapyayat jataha.
Madashrayat ka paritapyate yataha. Matajis?
Vyaktam tvam ukskrita gate pradapate.
Vyaktam tvamutkrishta-gate prajapate.
Priyatmajanam asi subrume mata.
Priyatmajanamasi subhrume mata.
Tatapi manam napitu prapatsyase.
Tathapi manam napitu prapatsyase.
Madashrayat kaha paritapyate yataha.
Madashrayat ka paritapyate yata. One more, Mataji.
Vyaktam tvam utkrista gate prayapate.
Vyaktam tvamatkrishta-gate prajapate.
Yatmayanam asi subru me mata.
Priyatmajanamasi subhrume mata.
Tathapi manam napitu prapatsyase.
Tathapi manam napitu prapatsyase.
Mad asrayat kaha paritapyate yatha.
Madashrayat ka paritapyate yata. Vyaktam, it is clear. Tvam, you. Utkrishta-gate, having the best behavior. Prajapate, of Prajapati Daksha. Priya, the pet. Atmajanam, of the daughters. Asi, you are. Subhru, you with the beautiful eyebrows. May, my. Mata, considered. Tathapi, yet. Manam, honor. Na, not. Pituhu, from your father. Prapatsyase, you will meet with. Mat ashrayat, from connection with me. Kaha, Daksha. Paritapyate, is feeling pain. Yataha, from whom. Next slide. Okay. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. My dear white-complexioned wife, it is clear that of the many daughters of Daksha, you are the pet. Yet you will not be honored at his house because of your being my wife. Rather, you will be sorry that you are connected with me. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. So I wanted to go over this topic of being under the protection of a man. That's something Prabhupada has recommended for women. That's what the scriptures say. So I chose the story of Daksha, Lord Shiva, and Sati. We'll go over that story and discuss the points in it. So the particular verse that we read, it talks about how Lord Shiva is forbidding Sati from going to his father's house because she's going to be insulted there. So the background story for that is there was an assembly of all the demigods and sages along with Lord Brahma. And Daksha walks into that assembly when everybody was seated. Because Daksha was Prajapati, he has such a big position, everybody stands up and they receive Daksha properly. And then Brahma also talks to him in nice words. Daksha is actually the son of Lord Brahma, but still Brahma receives him because he's he entered this assembly and then he has this position. But Lord Shiva was sitting down. He didn't get up to receive Daksha. So Daksha received everybody's welcome and then he comes and sits on his seat. So after sitting down, he starts his blasphemy on Lord Shiva. So he was very displeased that Lord Shiva didn't get up and receive him. So he says, this Shiva, he's auspicious in namesake only. He's actually not auspicious. He goes around and loiters in crematoriums and he puts all these ashes on his body. He's not even qualified to marry my daughter Sati. My daughter Sati is so beautiful and this Shiva is so ugly. And I didn't want to give my daughter to him, but because Lord Brahma asked me to give, I gave my daughter to him. So he's expressing his dissatisfaction of even getting his daughter married to Lord Shiva. And he mentions that he's not qualified to take any share from the fire sacrifices. So he curses Lord Shiva just because he didn't give him respect. But Lord Shiva was in his prayer, and Lord Shiva's position is higher than even Lord Brahma. So he doesn't have to, technically he doesn't have to get up when Daksha comes. Lord Shiva is not second to anybody in the demigods, group of demigods. So Daksha curses Lord Shiva that you will not get any oblations from the fire sacrifices anymore. You are not part of the demigods anymore. And Lord Shiva didn't mind being a very exalted devotee. For him, honor and dishonor, they don't matter so much. So he just kept quiet. He just tolerated. But then Lord Shiva's associates, Nandishwara and others, they became really upset. The way Daksha is treating Lord Shiva was not acceptable. So this is how devotees react. They don't care about what happens to them. Like they don't react when people dishonor them or insult them. But in front of us, if some other devotee is being insulted, then there are three kinds of things one can do. One can either take their life or go away from there or defend that devotee. So Nandishwara, he became very angry. He's the vehicle Lord Shiva travels on. He's the personified bull. So he spoke up and he, cursed, and then Bhrigu Muni also counter cursed. Nandishwara's curse was because all these people, they heard the blasphemy of Lord Shiva. They don't understand the transcendental knowledge. They won't be able to. They'll only treat Vedas like ritualistic ceremonies. That's all they get out of Vedas. So they entered into this fight of cursing and counter cursing. But Lord Shiva was not very happy with this kind of fighting. So he quietly gets up and leaves. So after that, life goes on for Lord Shiva and Daksha in his own world. So Daksha, after some time, he wanted to do a sacrifice, a very big sacrifice. So everybody is traveling in the space, all the demigods, they're going to participate in the sacrifice. And Sati, who's the daughter of Daksha and the wife of Lord Shiva, she sees all these demigods going to her father's house for the sacrifice. So when she sees all these things, she wants to go to her father's house. After all, it's her father, and something is happening in her father's house. So she wants to be part of that. So she goes to Lord Shiva and she presents all these different reasons that, I can go meet all my family because everybody will be there when I go, and then I can wear the jewelry that my father gave for my wedding. and I can see this big sacrifice. Please let me go. And then Lord Shiva, he tries to convince her that it's not a very good idea to go, because Daksha does not like Lord Shiva. And if Sati goes, he's not going to treat her as his own daughter, but he's going to treat her as the wife of Lord Shiva. And in general, if someone random person, if they insult us or if they talk, ill of us, or if they don't treat us well, it's not that hurtful. But if a relative, if somebody who is very close to you, if they insult you, if they hurt you, that can be very painful. So Lord Shiva tells the same thing to Sati. If you go there and if you don't feel like you're welcomed, and if you feel hurt, that can be very painful. So please don't go. So Sati, she wants to obey her husband. So she, tries to come to terms with this instruction of not going to her father's house. She's just pacing in and out of the house. She's really upset. She's trying to follow, but she's not being able to follow. And she looks at Lord Shiva with these angry eyes. You're not letting me go to my father's house. And finally, she just decides that she's going to go. She's going to not listen to Lord Shiva and go. So when she was walking, Lord Shiva sends all his associates so that they can protect her. So, mic is unmuted. Let's see. Okay. Arjuna Prabhu, can you please?
Prabhu Arjuna, si puede apagar tu micrófono, por favor.
Yeah. Okay. So now Sati is going to her father's house with all the associates. So when she enters the house, Daksha
This conference
sees,
will now be recorded.
But he does not even welcome her. He doesn't even acknowledge with a nod or anything. He just ignores her. And then her mother and sisters, they try to talk to her. But rest of the people, they are afraid of Daksha. So, people who are interested in keeping their positions with powerful people, they cannot, they cannot do anything that may upset that person, even though it may not be the right thing to do. So all these people, followers of Daksha or whoever wants to please Daksha in that sacrifice, they didn't even talk to Sati. So although she's there, she does not feel comfortable because of this. And then she somehow tolerates, and then she tries to, sit through the sacrifice. And then she notices that there are no oblations being offered to Lord Shiva. So that's when she really feels, uncontrollable urge to speak up. And then she speaks up. She glorifies Lord Shiva, how auspicious Lord Shiva is, and how he's the greatest of devotees, and he's so detached, and she gives all these good qualities of Lord Shiva. And then because she is so upset, she tells Daksha that I am born out of your body. This body is given by you, so I no longer want to live in this body. So she sits down in the meditation pose, and she burns herself from the fire within her body. So she gives up her body like that, and all the associates of Lord Shiva, they are very angry. And Lord Shiva comes to know. He sends this demon to kill Daksha, and Daksha's head was cut off after that. So in this whole situation, I was thinking even an exalted lady like Sati can become victim to her attachments. So women in general, they are very emotional. They cannot be rational when there are emotional issues going on. Then women, they need protection of the man. That is the subtle protection that we are talking about. And the training that a girl gets from the beginning of her life to obey, it's not like, slavery or anything. They can express their opinions, but obeying means in terms of rationalizing. If they cannot rationalize at some time, they still have to learn to continue to obey, because emotions take over at times and we may not understand what is really beneficial for us in the long term. So it's just like it was in one of Prabhupada's purports. A spiritual master, he gives some instructions to us. We are not as advanced as the spiritual master. So sometimes the instructions spiritual master may give, it may not make sense. We may not intellectually understand why this solution is the way to go. Why should we follow this instruction? But we nevertheless follow anyways. And over time, sometimes we realize that that instruction was very instrumental, that instruction was very necessary for us at that time. So in a similar manner, if a woman cannot rationalize also, if she follows whoever her protector is, father, husband, or the son, then she can be safe. So that's the subtle protection that a woman needs. So if Lord Shiva was present when Sati was feeling like this, when Sati was feeling insulted, when Sati was feeling like giving up her life, he could have helped her rationalize. He could have helped her, to be more tolerant. He could have helped her what to do, because she went by herself. She could not figure out what to do. But whatever she did is the right thing in terms of what the reaction of a wife should be. For an exalted husband like Lord Shiva, he's not being given enough respect there. He was actually being insulted by not being given any share in the sacrifices. And physically and in other ways, if we are under the protection of a man, we can take also, we can also be protected from other men taking undue advantage of women. Generally, it so happens if a woman is alone, then some men, they may come to help, they may try to show some emotional support, and then later on they take advantage of that woman. So this is what happens if we are not under the protection. So that's my understanding of this particular incident. Also, there is other side of being under the protection. Some ladies, they are under the protection of men, but they can manipulate the men. Like there is this story of Dhruva Maharaj. Dhruva Maharaj's father, Uttanapada, he has two wives. One is Suruchi and the other one is Suniti. Suniti is the older one, and Dhruva Maharaj is the son of Suniti. Suniti is very devotional and has very nice disposition, good character. Suruchi, she is the pet of Uttanapada. She is the younger one. She is the stepmother of Dhruva. She is the pet of Uttanapada. So she took shelter of a man, but because the man was too much attached to the wife, she kind of manipulated Uttanapada. Dhruva Maharaj wanted to come and sit on his father's lap. Even that Suruchi could not allow. Because of her womanly weakness, she's very envious of Dhruva, because Dhruva is the oldest and he's the one who is supposed to become the king after Uttanapada. So she, drags him off of Uttanapada's lap, and she tells, to be able to sit on your father's lap, you should take birth from my womb. You're not allowed to sit on Uttanapada's lap or even on the throne. But Uttanapada, he didn't even speak up. He was right there. Dhruva Maharaj is being insulted and dragged down. Didn't even speak up because he's completely sold out to Suruchi. So sometimes, this is the other side. They take advantage of the protection or the attachment, which is like it's not healthy. It's beyond the protection, but they take advantage of that and they don't allow the man to do his duty properly. They kind of influence him in a wrong way. Similarly, Shurpanaka, she's the sister of Ravana. So she goes to marry Lord Ram. She sees Lord Ram and she wanted to marry Lord Ram. She goes to ask Lord Ram if he can marry her. Kshatriyas can marry more than one wife, but Rama took a vow to only marry Sita and no one else. So he conveys that to Shurpanaka that in this life I'm only going to marry one lady, that is Sita. You can go ask my brother Lakshmana. He's around here. You can ask him if he's willing to marry you. So then Shurpanaka goes to Lakshmana. Lakshmana says, right now I'm just a servant of Rama and Sita. If you want to just be the servant of Rama and Sita, then you are welcome. But Shurpanaka didn't want to be the servant of Sita. She actually hated Sita because of Sita, she could not marry Ram. So then she becomes really angry. She tries to eat up Sita and Lakshmana cuts her nose. So now she's insulted and she goes and she tells Ravana all inciting things like, this Sita, she's very beautiful. She should be your wife. She should not be Lord Ram's wife and all that. So she acts like she's taking protection, but then she manipulates Ravana in this manner. She kind of incites the anger in Ravana first because her nose got cut and all that. But then she uses that aspect of being protected to manipulate, which is not very nice. So this is also a responsibility that women have to take up. They have to take protection, but they should not use that aspect to manipulate men and then not let them do their service properly, not let them do their duties properly. Okay. So that's all I have today, Maharaj. Today is also Vishwarupa Mahotsav and also Nectar of Instructions birthday. So after discussing the questions and comments on this topic, I would request Maharaj to speak a little bit about Nectar of Instruction. So anybody has any comments or questions on this, Maharaj? Would you like to share anything about this?
No, my only comment is I'm sorry I forgot to turn on the recording. You should have. Yeah, you should have also. I guess you forgot too. Yeah.
No, that's okay, Maharaj.
It would have been very nice to record it. Okay. Yeah. But it's very, very wonderful topic. Very important topic, and also as you're saying, it's very subtle. Yeah. So we need a lot of verses about it. Yeah. The only thing I might add is that, for example, all of us who are driving, we obey the traffic lights, right?
Yeah.
And so they're the same way that a lady is obeying her husband or whoever is taking care of her. So it can be exactly the same attitude. A person may be, she may be superior in so many ways, but still, okay, that's exactly what you do because, okay, you obey the traffic lights. Or That's your position. Otherwise it's going to be a big mess. And the gopis also, of course, are superior to Uddhava, but they accepted Uddhava as their spiritual master. We're listening to him, and and so on. Yeah.
Thank you, Maharaj. Anybody else has any comments?
Hare Krishna Mataji, I would like to make a question, please. Divya Driti.
Yes.
This morning I was making a reflection.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's true that the women are very emotional. Yeah. And for example, these times, because we are in quarantine, because the coronavirus, I'm living alone in the Sacred Valley. Yeah. Yeah, of course, I connect every day with Guru Maharaj and God brothers and God sisters. But this morning I was realizing that sometimes it's very important to share our lives with devotees physically as well, not only online. But I was thinking, how is the real protection? How's the real protection? But because even though I will get married, I don't know if my husband is a not good husband, how he'll protect me. So, what is the real protection? The real protection is it to follow the Guru's instructions? Is it to follow the four principles and chant our rounds? And what else? What else do we need? Because in my case, for example, these days sometimes I feel alone. Yeah, sometimes I feel confused. Even though I am chanting my rounds, I'm trying to listen to lectures and doing the puppets, but even though sometimes I feel confused, yeah? So what's the real protection and what else can we do to really feel protected, to really feel guided? That will be my question, Mataji. Thank you.
Thank you, Mataji. Very nice question. Yes, we do have to chant our rounds and we have to follow regulative principles. That is the basic thing that every devotee has to do. But because we are in this material world, it's like, we are in a certain situation in terms of varna and ashrama, and we have to follow whatever that situation demands, and only then these other things can go on smoothly. The chanting 16 rounds and following 4 regulative principles. It's like, if there is a machine, it needs a certain kind of maintenance. It needs a certain kind of situation to be able to function. So similarly, this material gross body and subtle body, they need a certain setup so that they can be healthy and functional. And you are saying during coronavirus time also, you feel like you need certain physical association, and I feel the same, and I'm sure everybody feels the same. So what we have been doing is we had when we were in Boise, we had a group of devotees that we used to associate with. You cannot avoid associating with people, just like 2 or 3 families, then you can limit your risk of exposing yourself also. And you can do, you can associate with a certain number of people so that your emotional needs are met. So those are the comments I have. So for every situation, because there is this varnashrama system that makes the material world function properly, we try to follow whatever ashrama we are in or varna we are in. If we try to follow whatever the requirements for that is, and then the life will be easier to practice Krishna consciousness. Obviously, ultimately, the goal is to practice Krishna consciousness and go back to Godhead. But these are just the tools that will help us to do so. Does that make sense, Mataji?
Yes, Mataji, thank you. So, to feel in the inside protection as well as is a kind of attitude that I have to feel this protection.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, can you, like, so what is the kind of attitude we need to have for protection?
Yeah, to really need this protection is an attitude that I have to have as well, a mental aptitude, an emotional aptitude to accept this protection that Krishna is sending me by
To
books.
accept this protection. Yeah, that is natural for women. We don't have to cultivate it. It is natural for a woman body to be under protection. A woman is more happy if she's under protection. Sometimes we may not have, anybody to protect us, but we are happy to be under spiritual protection also. But it is advisable to have some protection always. Because of Kali Yuga, if we don't have, that's a different thing. But if we do have, we don't give up and go away.
Okay, Mataji, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Any other questions?
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Sundari Radhika
Hare
Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
My obeisance to you. Thank you for the class.
This Shri Prabhupada.
Maybe Shruti Priya Mataji can translate me, please.
Of course, of course.
Hare Krishna, Shruti Priya.
Hare Krishna.
Es una reflexión y también un comentario en referencia a este tópico.
It is a comment about this topic.
Y una reflexión.
And I'm reflecting about this topic.
Yes. Que el proceso de conciencia de Krishna que Prabhupada presenta,
the Krishna consciousness process that Srila Prabhupada presents
comienza con escuchar, ¿no? Y hacer preguntas a personas idóneas.
starts by listening and making questions to the proper person who knows.
Exacto. Entonces, pensaba al respecto que Gurudev, una de las instrucciones que nos da cuando nosotros tenemos que tomar decisiones difíciles,
I was thinking that Gurudev, one of the instructions he gives us when we need to take difficult decisions
es preguntarle justamente a por lo menos 5 personas, 5 devotos que estén fijos en la conciencia de Krishna.
is to request to at least 5 people who are fixed into Krishna consciousness.
Entonces, justamente atravesando esta era de Kali, los problemas quizá hay veces que son más pesados, por así decirlo.
So sometimes trying to overcome this Kali Yuga time, sometimes problems are even more difficult.
Que estén fijos en su sadhana bhakti.
So these instructions allows us to get in touch with people with devotees who are reflective, who are serious, and who are fixed in their sadhana bhakti.
Entonces, mi comentario es como también animar, ¿no? Animarnos a atravesar nuestras trabas emocionales, mentales, y abrirnos justamente a estas personas.
So my comment goes to encourage us our devotees to be more open-minded, to fix our mental troubles. Para estar segura que estoy traduciendo bien,
las trabas mentales, emocionales, exacto, trabas, ¿no?
The emotional and mental troubles.
Sí. Y justamente permitirnos a nosotros mismos disfrutar de esta conciencia de Krishna, estemos o no estemos asociados con alguien directamente a nivel emocional.
And allows us to enjoy this process, no matter if we are in Krishna, no matter if we are associated with somebody or not.
Porque los problemas son tanto para los hombres como para las mujeres también.
Because these troubles are for men and for women as well.
Y en mi propia experiencia, cuando siento que no puedo encontrar a alguien en mi entorno que me ayude a tomar ciertas decisiones,
and in my own experience, when I think that I can't find somebody in my environment who can be able to help me to take these decisions.
He aprendido a través de la lectura del Bhagavad Gita y Srimad Bhagavatam.
I have learned through the reading of Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam.
Orarle a Krishna por su protección y por las respuestas que puedo, y digamos las decisiones que puedo llegar a tomar.
To pray Krishna for the answers and the decisions I may be able to take.
Eso es. Muchas gracias, Ruti Priya. Gracias, Sundari Radhika Mataji.
Thank you. So, Mataji, Shruti Priya Mataji, is it, I just wanted to make sure I understood it. So, she's telling that in some situations you really can't find anybody who can help except Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, and the process itself. Is that what Mataji is conveying? Can you give a summary of the whole thing, what she said?
Yes, as far as I understood, the first part is it was trying to encourage people to, even if we don't have a person by our sides as a couple, I mean as a husband or something, to try to look for the opinion of 6 very fixed and serious devotees to get in touch with them, to get their opinion, so that would supply the fact of not having a couple to be able to ask those spiritual questions. And so she was pointing out the fact of no matter if you don't have a person in your life, you can also always be supported by other devotees to have that kind of advice, and also from her spiritual master.
Yeah. Maharaj also was saying, right? There is this women's group that you guys started in Peru. So you need to have the support, be in a group, or staying alone can be very painful. At least if they don't have anybody like father or brother, or if they have children, somebody should be there, right? Is that the situation in South America? Sometimes devotees don't have anybody.
Do you want me to translate it?
No. Pienso que eso sucede en muchas partes del mundo, en mi experiencia y en relación a otras devotas.
I think that happens in many parts of the world, according to my experience and to some other devotees' experience.
Yeah. Maybe Maharaj can answer in that case, like if devotee ladies, if they don't have any shelter or support, what should they do in that case? Maharaj, would you like to kind?
Yeah, a couple of things. One thing is you're never going to have shelter. Doesn't matter whether you're a man, woman, dog, worm, caterpillar. I experienced exactly the same thing. Oh no, I have nobody I can really talk to and express myself, and so forth, so on. Because that's because we only have one lover, all of us. We only have one friend. Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, I was going very seriously this morning, last couple of days, chanting and my mentality, and realizing that's what Bhishma Dev says. Eso es lo que dice Bhishma Dev. Que realmente solamente todos nosotros tenemos un amante, un amigo, y es Krishna. Y esta es una conciencia bien diferente de la conciencia, cotidiano. And it's a very different consciousness from the consciousness in the world that I have a husband, a brother, a boss at work. Que yo tengo un esposo, tengo un hermano, tengo una, ¿cómo se llama? Una profesor, un jefe en el trabajo. No. El maestro espiritual solamente es representante de Krishna. Muy fuerte en términos de esto. Spiritual master is only representative of Krishna. So until we have our connection with Krishna, we'll never feel protected. Not just protected, but satisfied. No vamos a sentir protegido o satisfecho hasta que tenemos relación con Krishna. And and so many times, de muchas maneras, no tenemos este refugio material. We don't have this material protection because Krishna is, he's a very jealous person. Porque Krishna es una persona muy celoso. Yeah. Se está abrigando que no tenemos protección, que vamos a tomar refugio de él. So we will take shelter of him. Yeah. I guess, I get, what is it? What is the most archetypical example? ¿Cuál es el ejemplo más arquetípica de la cultura védica de una mujer sin protección?
Queen Kunti.
Oh, Kunti. Okay, she's good. Yeah. But she had sons. No? Siempre.
Yes.
She was always protected.
Yes.
Another one.
Yeah.
It's in terms of clothing.
Draupadi.
Yeah.
Draupadi. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So she's the very un ejemplo muy fuerte de no protección. Okay. Yeah. And ¿qué pasa? Primero está tomando apoyo de su propio poder. In the beginning, she's taking shelter of her own strength. I can protect myself. I'm a tough girl. Leave me alone. Yo soy chica fuerte. No me molesta. But then she's realizing, forget it. This guy's like Arnold Schwarzenegger, who's trying to take my clothes off. These are kshatriyas, big guys. Imagine if Arnold Schwarzenegger's trying to take your clothes off. Young man. Imagínese que Arnold Schwarzenegger recitando, desnude, okay. So entonces sí, está a regla de Krishna, was Krishna's arrangement to make her surrender. So levantando ambos manos and say, hey, Govinda. Yeah. So raising both hands and saying, hey, Govinda. And my experience is directly that Krishna will reciprocate. La experiencia directamente que Krishna va a responder. Un perro va a entrar and, perseguir su molestido. A dog will come and attack the person who's, molesting you, or wasps or something, will be supposed to. Or more likely, Krishna will give you intelligence. Krishna va a darle inteligencia. And many times, of course, Krishna will give the intelligence of which man you should call up or you should take shelter of. Pero muchas veces Krishna va comparte la inteligencia que hombre tiene que tomar refugio, de que quien quería hablar. And también estamos buscando refugio para hoy día de muchas maneras. So in many cases, we're looking for shelter for today. Okay, so I got today taken care of. Tomorrow I can worry about something else. Mañana puede ser, no sé si molestado para mañana. Alcoholics Anonymous, Alcohólicos Anónimos dice, no, Jesucristo. Jesus Cristo y Alcoholics Anonymous ambos dijeron, Alcoholics Anonymous and Jesus Christ agree. Jesus Christ said, don't worry about tomorrow. Don't you have enough troubles today? Like that. Yeah. Jesus Christ dijo, no te preocupes para los problemas de mañana. No tienes suficiente para hoy día. Okay. So, yeah, so this es un tema muy amplio. It's a very big topic. Ultimately, we're all feminine, so it applies to everybody. Ultimately, todos somos mujeres, so aplica a todos dependientes. But one very practical point, okay? Todos nosotros, all of us, and ladies, de su manera, mujeres de su modo, podemos tomar refugio de las deidades. We can take shelter of the holy names and our deities. So I would say that it's essential. And deity worship is for what do you call, for sannyasi, brahmachari, they can do it in their minds and things like this. Sannyasi brahmachari puede hacer en sus mentes. But I think for ladies, it's just so important that they have their deities and they experience Krishna's protection in that tangible form. Que tiene sus deidades and experimentando la protección de Krishna de forma tangible. Also, if you're a man, as a grihasta, also Prabhupada says it's 100% guaranteed to fall down if you don't worship the deity according to your means. If you're in grihasta ashram as a man, para un hombre, Prabhupada dice, dijo, si no adora la deidad, 60% garantizado caer. Yeah. So the deidades, los santos nombres, tomando refugio, después los deidades, the holy names and the deities. And then if we don't have shelter, it's either because we don't want it. Yeah. Okay. What's her name? You mentioned her, Sati. Sati didn't want it. Of course, she didn't want it because she had a job to do. She was the mother of the universe, so she had to go. Yeah. Sati no quiere ultimatamente, no aceptando, entonces no era la culpa de nadie. Okay. En Sita también aparece que está rechazando el refugio de Lakshman. Sita was rejecting the shelter of Lakshman. I always wonder, Sita tried to serve Ram, God, directly, ignoring the advice of Guru. Is that correct?
Yes.
What do you think, Sundaradika?
Yes, Maharaj. Yeah, she is ignoring the instruction of Guru.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it caused all these problems like that. Yeah. It's a very nice example, but again, Krishna wanted it. Yeah. Sita está desobedeciendo instrucciones de Guru Lakshman para tratar de servir directamente. So there's so many nice examples. It's such a nice topic, you can make a whole, nice seminar, symposium on this topic. I think it's a wonderful topic, Yeah. But that's it. Worshiping the holy names and the deities. And I think then we're, then all of us, especially for ladies, having your deities, especialmente para mujeres. Probably comentando que la persona está adorando la deidad. En cuando es tiempo para después de morir, si no tiene hijo, para hacer regla de los, ¿cómo se llama? Los sacrificios de fuego, esas cosas. La deidad lo hizo. Probably saying sometimes when somebody doesn't have proper offspring, when they die, when the deity, takes charge of the ceremony. I'm not sure how that works. Yeah. Okay. Well, today is Vishvarup Mahotsava. Hoy día, Vishvarup Mahotsava. Pienso que es aniversario también de Sannyas de Vishvarup. No sé seguro. I think it's also maybe the anniversary of Vishvarup is Sannyas, Lord Chaitanya's older brother, hermano mayor de Señor Chaitanya. Claro, es el aniversario de la Sannyas de Srila Prabhupada. It's the anniversary of Srila Prabhupada's Sannyas. So we have a lot to be grateful for this day. If Prabhupada hadn't taken sannyas, and maybe he wouldn't have traveled all over the world. si Prabhupada no ha sido aceptado sannyas, posible no ha sido viajado en todo el mundo. Es como castellano horrible. So es un día muy, muy auspicioso para nosotros. Very auspicious day for us. And then also, in the Upadeshamrita, Prabhupada finishes the preface and he says, it's written September 20th, 1975, Vishwarup Mahotsava Krishna Balaram Mandir Ramanreti Vrindavan, India. En la fin del prefacio de Upadeshamrita, Prabhupada es escrito por Prabhupada. 20 de septiembre de 1975, Vishwarup Mahotsava Krishna Balaram Mandir Ramanreti Vrindavan, India. And claro, es casi cierto que Prabhupada estuvo pensando, es aniversario de mis sannyas, muy buen día, para dedicar este libro. And it seems almost for sure Prabhupada was quite conscious that this was the anniversary of his sannyasa, and he was, dedicating the book, with very, very nice sentiments. So today, then, is Sugopi is noting to this 45 years. This book, Sugopi está anotando hoy día que es 45 años de este libro, pero aparece que como ayer la presencia de Prabhupada para mí, para nosotros es muy actual. The Prabhupada's presence and is for me very, 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 very. Spanish is easier, very real, tangible experience. I feel Prabhupada's here. So many times I feel I'm disappointing Prabhupada. Tan muchas veces estoy siendo que estoy, Prabhupada está sintiendo, triste, que no estoy haciendo cosas correctamente. Yo estoy siempre demasiado lujurioso, flojo. I'm always so greedy and lazy. But so many times I feel his mercy and his communication that I'm. But many times I think even his tendency more towards ladies in the female body is to be self-destructive, self-critical unnecessarily. Pienso que es un aspecto que en el cuerpo femenino es ser autodestructivo, auto mal estimado, Entonces, no, estoy recibiendo inspiración de la muerte de Prabhupada, de sus libros. No tiene que pensar de esta manera. Usted está actuando bueno. Usted es una buena persona. Tiene que continuar. So by Prabhupada's mercy in his books, we can get this impression. Yes, you're doing okay. So, Prabhupada says in the preface that this book is the first instruction, amongst all the books. Prabhupada está comentando que ese libro es primera instrucción antes de los otros libros de Rupa Goswami. Entonces es bueno estudiar, leer sistemáticamente, siempre. So it's very good to study it and systematically forever. One method. There are 11 texts. So in the 11 days of the moon until Ekadasi, we can read, we can focus on and study one text every day, a little bit. Hay 11 días hasta Ekadasi, so podemos estudiar un texto cada día, un poco de cada texto. And we're having, of course, regular Nectar of Instruction classes every Tuesday night, and I try to make Friday also. Nosotros también estamos organizando clases cada martes en Nectar of Instruction y también esperando incluir, ¿cómo se llama? Viernes de este modo. Y estamos también a cumplir nuestro comentario como olas de devoción de Hanumatpresaka Swami para la Nectar de Devoción. Un libro muy útil. So nosotros estamos tratando de organizar con Radhika Raman nuestros comentarios y también colectar los comentarios de otras personas como Srimati Devi, Aniruddha, otros, and muy buen, comentarios. And so we're trying to collect our own comments with Radhika Raman, published a small book, and with Srinath. And there are many, and then other commentaries by Srimati Devi has this beautiful, big, detailed, study guides like for Bhakti Shastri, maybe even Bhakti Vedanta a little bit. And then one devotee, Aniruddha, very good president in Australia, I think he's actually trying to collect a lot of information and history about the book. And this last Friday, I was with the board of examiners and I forgot his name. Very nice devotee. He was saying that the first three texts or something are directly from the Hatha Yoga Pradeep or something like that. Estuve con los devotos viernes y meses de examinadores. And ellos, su nombre, muy buen devoto, Brahmachari, comentando que los tres primeros textos son exactamente de Hatha Yoga Pradipika, y después comentando que Bharati Patagunati Guyamakati Prachati es también casi una citación directamente de Hitopadesh, como relacionar con otras personas, como ser exitoso, como un rey. And he also said that the six exchanges is also an exact text from the Hitopadesh, how to accept, how to make friends with people and enemies and associate with people and get your results. So we can see that Rupa Goswami in the little book, he's just taken the essence of so many things. Podemos ver que Rupa Goswami en este pequeño libro ha sacado la esencia de tan muchas cosas, muy bueno. Y también puede ver que Rupa Goswami no está presentando como yo voy a crear un nuevo mundo. No, está eligiendo las cosas buenas, pasando a sus seguidores, and ellos pasando. And he's not presenting himself as a great arrogant person. He's going to invent the new something. He's simply presenting, what's there from very good, genuine sources, even Hatha Yoga and we call it Artha Shastras, and then presenting them again in a nice way so people can understand, So that's, I think, this book, very nice day. We can talk about it forever. We can, it'd be nice if everybody wants to. You can chant all the verses today. Todo el mundo puede cantar todos sus textos hoy día. Por su mismo o con sus amigos. Básicamente requiere 3 minutos en sánscrito. Y no sé español cuánto quiere, recitando, okay, And so recite the verses in Sanskrit requires about 3 minutes to recite the text, And then more sophisticated, maybe we can, we can read, we can maybe have to work it out, record this somehow, record the whole book, in English and Spanish, can divide it up and read it and record it. We have an audio version for Asa Audio Visual on YouTube. Podemos grabar recitación de sánscrito, inglés y todos los significados. Podemos dividir. Es un buen proyecto. Si alguien quiere tomar carga, como Lakshman Agrajada, otro. Pero mucho a hacer. Okay. También tenemos estamos tratando de collect todas sus diferentes citaciones, los cuales son súper buenos para desarrollar su lógica, su base escritural de la conciencia de Krishna. Las citaciones de Upanishad son los claves. Y tenemos un PowerPoint. Especially con Abhiram, podemos pasar un libro. We've collected all the citations, many of the citations, most from Upanishad in a PowerPoint show. And of course, they make fantastic basis, for our logic and for our presentation of Krishna consciousness. And they lead to much more detail in a very systematic manner around the structure of Upanishad. So you have a PowerPoint show, then maybe we can get Abhiram can format it into a nice book also. But the main thing is Tanama Rupa Charitadi Sukirtananu Smrityo Kramena Rasana Manasi Nyoja Tistam Vrajetananuragi Jananagami Kalam Nayadapi Kalam Nayad Iti Upadesha Sharam. That the essence of all advice is to always engage the tongue and mind in glorifying, producing Krishna's name, and then his form, the deity, his pastimes, the Krishna book, and this is the essence of all bhakti. So as much as possible, chant Panchatattva mantra, Hare Krishna mantra, and you can do it all the time. You just become a mad person, a mad woman. Essence de todo lo consejo, por latín es, conciencia de Krishna, ocupa la lengua y la mente y los oídos constantemente encantando las glorias, recordando la forma de Krishna, sus deidades, sus pasatiempos, el libro de Krishna. Y de ese modo, eso es. Todo lo demás que no está relacionado con estas cosas es illusion. Everything else is not related to these is illusion. It is unnecessary. And maybe we'll all become mad women and mad men. Okay. In terms, we won't become completely disconnected, but we may become a little bit, forgetful, and then people will appreciate. Oh, okay, she's forgetful because she's thinking of something higher. Okay. No vamos a convertir a mujeres locas, pero vamos a ser poco desconectado con cosas, inatenta al mundo material. Pero la gente inteligente va a apreciar, okay, mi tía está poco no conectado con cosas porque está conectado con algo superior. Siempre cada palabra de su boca es un aforismo. And my aunt is disconnected, but every word coming from her mouth is an aphorism. Okay, yeah. And as a very final point here, ladies must take shelter of other ladies. How does that sound? Sundaradika.
Sounds good, Maharaj. Yeah, it's a requirement actually. We need to have our own friends.
Yes, and grannies like that. Yes. There's how fortunate is a girl who has a good granny?
Very fortunate, Maharaj, because she'll share everything, like whatever it is.
Yes, that's maybe the more fortunate. That's what Plato said. My greatest pleasure is talking to old, experienced men because they've already gone down pathways that I may someday have to go down. So talking to old, experienced ladies, that's why Russia, I think, is so strong. Of all the countries I know in the world, Russia is where the grandmother is the most exalted, and that's the icon. Somebody said they kept on telling me it was Mother Russia, and I said it's Grandmother Russia, and the Russians were looking, sort of laughing and saying, "You're right, it is. It's not Mother Russia, it's Grandmother Russia." Yeah. When the younger guys don't agree with the grandmother, she starts pulling their beards. So they're just pulling their beards. He visto en Rusia cuando los hombres jóvenes fuertes están de acuerdo con la abuelita, ella comenzando a sacar sus barbos. And está, rindiéndose. Okay, bisa abuelita, ki jai. Great grandmother, ki jai. So thank you all very much. Okay, canta Hare Krishna y sea feliz y bien informado. Chant Hare Krishna and be well informed about everything.
Hare Krishna.
Okay. Last comment question here.
Hare Krishna, Maharaj. Please accept my humble obeisance, all glory to Srila Prabhupada, and thank you, Sundar Radhika Devidasi, very much for the wonderful class. I just wanted to make a quick comment, is that I had an experience that integrates both things of reading Prabhupada's books and having like a devotee association. I believe we used like a different conferencing app. It was Start Meeting or whatever. But for a while, we had a program called Read Prabhupada's Books. And we would meet for an hour every day at, I think it would either be 6 or 7 p.m. And that way we can really focus on Prabhupada's books, but do it together with other devotees. So maybe that's a suggestion that might be helpful to free two birds with one key. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
No, reading groups are great. One lady, Gandharvika in San Jose, where we used to be, she's a programmer. So she started like at lunch. I think they took like 10 minutes, I think, at lunch, out of their lunch break, half an hour lunch break maybe. And we started with 2 people. Then it went to like, to 35, and they had to break it into several groups. And they heard those groups were breaking into groups. And now it's been going on for something like 20, maybe 18 years now. So yeah, really, and that's the point too. It doesn't have to be very long, Prabhupada says in some ways it's better to have short readings frequently than one long reading and just forget everything and lose your interest. Yes, different people have different motives. The reading groups are just fantastic. Está comentando que ellos tienen un grupo de leer los libros de Prabhupada cada día a las 7 por la tarde. And super beneficial. Una devota, Gandharvika de San José, muy buena hija, muy buen esposo, pero es programadora. Entonces, cada día, comenzando con 2 más mujeres hindúes, 10 minutos durante su hora de almuerzo, leyendo los libros de Prabhupada. Está ampliando hasta que tiene más, muchas personas tienen que dividir en diferentes grupos. Oyendo que está, más grupos. Es continuando ahora por 18 años. So, Prabhupada una vez dijo que es mejor leer poco, muchas veces, como 10 minutos de Chaitanya Charitamrita antes de entrar en el altar para mediodía. Lilamrita durante de su desayuno. De esta manera, tiene oportunidades regulares para leer con otros, si puede, frecuente, mejor que leer una vez para mucho tiempo y no recordar nada. Okay, esa es una cosa. Okay, muchas gracias a todo el mundo. Thanks to everyone. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna, Maharaj.
Gurudev.
Gracias,
Krishna
Gurudev.
Maharaj.
Muchas gracias.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Gurudev.
Bye.